Were you, or were you not, on a gay cruise?
No, you're 120% dick pic.
Everybody that age, they're sperminator.
Yeah.
We don't care about anything else. We're a walking hard on looking for a hole.
That's. I have to say you're right on that one. Oh my God.
A stiff breeze comes through the room and you return the favor.
Got her in. Oh. Somewhere on the outside of this building, there is a hole where squirrels come in.
Better than a hole where dicks come in.
Yeah, better than that.
Going down the stairs to wash the laundry. What the hell? Shh. Pizza. Stop! Stop it now! I order you to stop! I'm still touching myself.
Yeah!
All young bitches want to do is pop pills, smoke weed, get drunk, lay around, suck dick, eat hot Cheetos, charge they phone, get a sew and weave, twerk, be bisexual, eat McDonald's, wash they pussy in the sink, lie, take selfies, and talk shit through Wi-Fi because they phone never on.
I think washing they pussy in the sink is my favorite part. The Vietnamese trade in dongs. Figuratively and literally, I'm sure.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I did decide to look it up. 500,000 dongs is a good night for Pop's ex.
Like most women, he's an emotional thinker.
Good God.
I mean, that's part of the problem we're having now in our society is we have a bunch of emotional thinkers that want the world to, to fall in line with their emotions. That's not... look, reality doesn't give a shit about emotions.
It's my lived truth. Fuck your lived truth.
No, it's not. It's your perspective.
Kiss my ass.
Literally like, hey, Sergeant Pop, you got to turn your bear suit. I'm like, over my dead body.
No.
Just give me a statement of charges. Yeah. You're never getting this back. Yeah. You can suck it.
I'm going to wear this with my Russian coat.
you will bury me in this. Hey! Why you gotta fucking be like that, man?
Because I'm an asshole, and I learned from the best. I'm sitting across from him, and I'm pointing at you with all four fingers.
All right, first of all, the Russian jacket is World War II surplus.
I'll send you a picture of it, Sarge.
Yeah, okay. I
got you standing wearing it with holding two giant buckets like you just collected all the chum from behind the dump dumpster at the bar, and you're going to go home and make ice cream out of it.
What's up, savages? Terrence Popp here with an episode that actually is live from the lair. And today we're going to be covering 4th of July stuff. We've been on a roll, all negative and serious for, 5 or 6 months now. We're taking a break. Blake's not here. It is what it is. But people don't seem to understand exactly what went in to making this country what it is, or even putting it on the map, because the founding fathers doubted that this country would last 50 years, because it was the great experiment. Well, we're coming up on 250. Now, we'll see what happens in the next 5 or 6 months. Maybe there'll be some freedom seeds getting released. Two-way rifle range breaking out again. Hopefully not. We'll see. But we're going to be covering a lot of that stuff during the show. We're going to be covering the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and read some of the Medal of Honor citations and talk about some of the people that actually, chewed dirt and did what they had to do. And I've got 33 years under my belt, 22 years or 20-ish, 21 years on jump status. I served across 3 formal conflicts. I almost died in 2. I started off my military career as the epitome of the expendable soldier, E1, straight leg infantry grunt, and I worked my way up from there. So if anyone has earned the right to talk some shit about this country and things that are going on, I think I am one of those guys. I have Steve over there. He's, I think he did 12 years.
Thereabouts.
He was grunt adjacent.
We were a support element. If he was the rock star, we were the roadies and sound crew.
Pretty much.
That's how that works. So he got like first tier chicks. We got like second and third tier.
Well, you got to put it all like that, man.
Look, man, I've been to Vietnam. The tab chasers are a real thing.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Yeah. I've had some experience with that. So,
yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, tonight we're lightening it up a little to the point where I wasn't really sure where to start tonight because I didn't have all of my anger built up for the episode. And
yeah,
it's just,
I feel like lighter.
Yeah. Let's just have a couple of drinks and hang out, man.
Let's talk a bunch of mad trash about war.
No, the thing is, a lot of people don't know very much about that period of our history at all, like the Revolutionary War. I'm woefully uninformed about that period. I focused on a lot of other different time periods. But where are we here? I never did this thing where I take that thing there and put that on and do this, and it does that there. Yeah, that helps.
Now, if you think being in a war would suck today because we have all the whiz-bang equipment, we have portable heat, portable electricity, dehydrated food, you got first aid, minutes away, if not less than an hour, depending upon where you are.
I kept mine right on my gear. I don't know where your first aid was.
I'm just saying, like, if you need to go to the hospital,
yeah,
to get some stitchy ahs,
right?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? You have no logistics, no fucking support. It's fucking cold out. People don't have fucking shoes. They're wrapping their feet in blankets and they're waging war. I mean, Washington went across a river on Christmas Eve to whack a bunch of German Hessians, which are mercenaries that were fighting for the English crown, just to get one feather in his cap because he had a whole string of losses before that.
And guys were deserting left, right,
yes.
center.
Yes.
Because at the time, we didn't have an army because we didn't technically have a nation at the time. And actually, until after the Civil War, the United States never had a standing army. The states would raise regiments. Here in Michigan alone, I think we raised 5 or 6 regiments. But what Popp is talking about is then after they do all of that stuff in the cold, now they're going to line up and stand face to face with rifles and from pretty much point blank, start pulling triggers.
Go at it. Yeah. All right. Now, first of all, if I lived back then, I would have a serious problem with getting in a line and walking across the field. I'd be more like the scout. I'd be the sneak and peek kind of guy.
Well, Revolutionary War was the founding of what unit?
I know there was Rogers Rangers, but that was the French Indian War prior to that.
Rogers Rangers was in the Revolution, though. They still existed.
I believe they were working for the Queen.
At the time,
Yes,
were they?
I believe they were.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm not up on history, but
Yeah.
by the time the Revolutionary War kicked off, Rogers, the guy who set it up,
Mhm.
he was a drunkard. He had some severe health issues. He's typical grunt when they get old and
Yeah.
broken,
Mhm.
become bitter and like to drink.
Sure. You run out of stuff to do. Now you got to find something to do. Usually it has to do with the fun. That's fantastic. Don't look at me. I'm too horrible to behold. So when we peel back the layers of American history, we're often tasked with trying to identify what the people of the time were thinking and doing to survive. There were people just like us who lived at a time that would be perceived as backward in many ways to modern Americans. Yeah, because they didn't have the technology. Don't be obtuse. But that doesn't mean we cannot understand how their world worked and was set up and eventually give way to the American culture that we've come to know. Now, I want you to listen to this next part because the truth is we haven't changed all that much after all.
Wait a minute.
What?
We are the same hairless monkeys we were 250 years ago.
Well, not the exact same hairless monkeys, but descendants thereof. Yes.
Yeah, we do the same evil hairless monkey shit? No. Say it isn't so.
It's possible.
Except now we have Wi-Fi digitals and instant boobies on demand.
Instant boobies on demand. We also have the most terrifying drone weapon I've ever seen in my life. Have you it's not an explosive, it's just a kinetic thing.
The samurai drone?
The samurai sword drone.
It's a missile.
I am debating whether I would rather stand in formation in the Revolutionary War and go toe-to-toe slinging lead like that, or be hit with one of those things.
We called it the Ginsu missile.
Can you imagine being next to the guy hit with that, though?
Well, the kill radius is 1.5 meters. So it's about 8 feet-ish, kind of.
Right, I understand that, but can you imagine?
You're done.
All of this, Hassan chop.
Yeah, you're done. You're literally Ginsu'd. You're parade. You're turning.
I mean, yeah, but you're gone. Nobody care. You don't care anymore. I'm talking about the guy that's standing there going, "Oh my fucking god!"
Well, it's
what happened to Hassan?
This is an imitation.
Oh my god!
Because it's just a fountain of blood and bones.
I am reasonably certain that faced with something like that, I would just vacate my bowels.
Look, in Iraq, we rolled up on cars that were tore up by 50 cal, and those Hajis in there were ripped to shreds.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Yeah,
at 50 cal don't play around.
A lot of that, not up close and personal. We weren't doing that, but BDA and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to rabbit hole. Hello, Mr. Bunny Rabbit.
Listen, you guys like to come into the rabbit hole. We tell funny stories.
For one thing, colonists did not identify themselves as Americans. At least they did not view themselves as a continental people. Most colonists viewed themselves as members of whichever town or colony they resided in. This tribal way of thinking is reminiscent of rooting for your favorite sports team or showing pride for your hometown. See, it's pretty much the same damn thing. We just do it with technology now.
Yeah.
You place far more value in your club or community than you do in your rivals or your strangers. Regional identities were about as far as it went, and for much of the early to mid 18th century, it wasn't that people despised other colonists from other regions. It was from a time before the internet, commuter travel, and before much of the continent had been explored and developed, and isolation drove many attitudes. That is not as true as one would think.
Well, hang on. Back in the day, most people never traveled more than 50 miles away from their place where they were born in their entire life.
And they would only do that once or twice.
Yes.
The typical person never went more than 3 to 5 miles.
Yes.
But travel was not as limited as they make it out to sound in this article, because the eastern seaboard was like a superhighway.
Yes.
The age of piracy, for example, the pirates Blackbeard lived in South Carolina, had a plantation there, and then he would go down to the Bahamas and raise hell.
In winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd winter in the Bahamas.
Yes. So travel was not as limited as they make it seem in this article.
But most people didn't travel, though.
Most people did not travel.
You know,
They didn't have cause to travel. I've got a farm. I've got 75 kids.
well, first of all, if you're on a farm
Mhm.
and it's substance farming, it's a full-time goddamn
Yes.
job, and you need to have a bunch of kids to make it more efficient.
Yes.
You know, you don't have time off. You can't like, I'm taking 2 weeks
Yeah.
off. It's not happening.
Yeah. Which is part and parcel to the whole slave myth. And yes, I'm going to say slave myth, and I'm going to say it on camera, and I don't care, because guess what? Only about 1 to 3% of the population owned slave. The average person could not afford a slave. So you had kids, which is slaves.
Yeah.
But they probably didn't see it that way. That's how they ran operations at the time. Somebody from Boston might hear about the people in South Carolina, but to them they were as far away and impossible to visit as somebody on the other side of the world. Again, incorrect, because Boston and South Carolina did a brisk trade, especially once tobacco was figured out, because a lot of that was grown in South Carolina.
Now, if I recall back then, they had a huge black market trade.
Only black market in the sense that they were cutting England out of the deal.
Correct.
And the crown thought that they were entitled to the tax money from
shit-
the colonists, and the colonists were like, dude, you're on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah. And shit
Tell
pop-
you what's going on here.
and shit popped off.
Part of the whole problem.
Yeah, shit popped off.
Exactly.
And they did this over like a 1.5% to 3% tax.
Yeah.
And we're getting almost 40% of our fucking gross taken on every single paycheck.
That's correct.
And then you're getting taxed on everything you buy.
Yeah.
If you buy a house,
well, that's just the way it is.
yeah, and if you buy a house and then pay it off and then one day sell it, you're going to get taxed on that as well.
Yes.
What a fucking bunch of highway goddamn robbery we have
And
going.
we allow this.
Yeah.
So during this time period, coincidentally, with what Popp is talking about here, somebody wrote down a phrase that's really, really useful. Revoke consent.
I was going to go with fuck your mother, but
They did not put that in the Declaration of Independence, but I'm betting Ben Franklin
Dude.
wanted it there.
if anyone out there has a time machine, let me know. I will go back there and write in there, fuck your mother. I
Ben
swear.
Franklin, I tried that. They didn't let me do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, revoke consent is in the Declaration of Independence, and it's a phrase people should be thinking about today.
Yes.
You might want to read the Declaration of Independence. Now, I dabble in various things. One of them is law. I've been dabbling in it for a very long time, 17 years-ish. And there are people who will say that the Declaration of Independence is not a legal document.
Why would they say that?
I have had attorneys tell me that the Declaration of Independence is not a legal document. It is the first legal document in the foundation of the United States of America. It was a formal legal letter to the crown.
I have a touche. What about the Articles of Confederation that were before the Declaration of Independence?
What about them?
Were they not technically a legal document?
They're absolutely legal documents.
Okay.
They became legal documents. But the reason that a lot of the lawyers like to argue that the Declaration is not a legal document is because it contains instructions to get rid of all of the people who are taxing us at a rate of 40%, which means a lot of the lawyers would suddenly find themselves unemployed.
That would not be a bad thing in my eyes. I am not a fan of shyster lawyers and their goddamn Latinese ripoff language that they all fucking use.
In the 16th century, William Shakespeare sagely wrote, "First we kill all the lawyers."
Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
There you go. Now you're interested in Shakespeare.
Yes. There you go.
That's it. That's how you pop interested in Shakespeare. First we kill all the lawyers.
Listen, these lawyers need to start paying attention. When they start writing jokes about chaining lawyers and throwing them in the New York Harbor and calling it a good start, somebody's fucking up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
True story.
All right.
So the first real attempt to unite the colonies came in 1754 with the Albany Congress in upstate New York. Wary of the escalating tensions between France and Great Britain, who were constantly at each other's throats, Spain's armada had fallen by the wayside in the early 1700s during the great age of piracy, when Spain was getting all the gold out of South America, and all of a sudden their ships were like pirate fodder. Wary of the escalating tensions between France and Great Britain, a meeting was called for by all of the colonists to decide how to proceed. Headed by Benjamin Franklin, the Albany Plan was put forward but ultimately rejected, which would have created a congressional body for the colonies to act and impose legislative directives over continental affairs. This is where we also received the infamous join or die snake design that everybody loves, the Gadsden flag.
The Don't Tread on Me.
That's the one.
Yep.
Politically speaking, the colonies shared many similarities in their governing makeup. Nearly all of the colonies held royal charters with Parliament or the British monarch, which is how things were held together then. The same thing was going on in Canada at the time. St. John's Bay, great history.
Now,
you should read some of that.
Correct me if I'm
But
wrong.
that's not tonight's show.
Isn't
Go
the
ahead.
title Esquire a title of nobility?
Esquire means landed.
I thought it was a title of nobility.
No.
Minor nobility.
No.
Okay.
Because at the time, you could not vote unless you held land. The
We need
lawyers...
to go back to something like that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
The lawyers adopted the title Esquire to give themselves an air of authority.
So you're saying it was a lie?
It's more legal bullshit.
No, you're serious? No, lawyers doing legal bullshit even back then? No.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
16th century. First
Yeah.
we kill the lawyers.
Well, these things happen.
So each colony had a royal governor appointed by the king, which obviously could become problematic very quickly. This individual held ultimate say over the decisions in the colony. However, most colonies also had colonial assemblies, bodies of elected officials who conducted local affairs and business. And for much of the 18th century, this relationship was at peace with one another. Colonists enjoyed the full wealth and protection of the British government, including the British Army and Navy colonists, who inherited a large amount of English common law, which is the basis for all of our laws today, which has been subsumed by corporate law
Oh, hang on.
and the attorneys. What?
When I was working in the mortgage industry,
Mm-hmm.
the 30-year mortgage and
Yes.
the 20-year and 50-year mortgage,
Yes.
it's all from an English model.
Yes, that dates back to the 11th century.
Yeah, it goes way back. I mean, all the way to the Templar Knights.
Yes,
Knights Templar actually had a way to mortgage and do all that crazy shit.
which would be the 10th century.
Yes, that's a long goddamn time.
Yes.
So, and it's hard to believe, but it seems like the laws we have today are just a bunch of pancakes piled on top of other pancakes, and then
It is.
you have corporate law,
With
which
layers of bullshit in between.
you have corporate law, which is the syrup over the top.
Yeah.
Well,
it's mostly ass syrup.
Yes, it's a bunch of bullshit.
So you mean to tell me that's not chocolate spread in between my pancakes? It's just a bunch of bullshit?
Yes.
Just eat the pancakes, Jimmy.
Don't say nothing.
Okay, fine. I'll shut up and eat my pancakes, even though I prefer
right.
waffles.
Far from being just a place that served ales and alcohol, taverns were also gathering spots that offered a neutral place to discuss the hot topics of the day. They were not called taverns. To this day in England, they are still called a public house, which is the gathering place.
Facebook of yesteryear.
It is. It is the Facebook of yesteryear. That is precisely correct. Regional economies differed tremendously. New England was primarily a merchant-based economy where fishing and trade provided the backbone of everyday life. Farming, too, played a huge role in rural life. Obviously, we were an agrarian society when we started out. America was an agrarian
Virtually
society.
every nation was.
Particularly so, though, because we had so much land to farm.
Yes.
And the woods as well. The wood that we shipped over to make ships and stuff like that was tremendously important.
The fur trade.
The fur trade, the French had kicked in. That was in the Northwest Territories, up in Michigan, Minnesota, Canada, those areas.
And did we not fight a war over that?
We did.
Yes, we did.
We did. We can get into that at a later time, though.
Yeah, we
It's
can.
pretty-
It's not part of the 4th of July thing. It's prior to that. But
It is. It's prior and after both.
Yeah.
Regional economies differed tremendously. The middle colonies tended to be more farm-based than New England, even though they too benefited from merchant imports. The southern economy was primarily agrarian and based in the plantation culture of forced labor to raise crops and livestock. That is patently false. Once again, the slave ownership was about 1 to 3% of the population.
the number I keep hearing is 6% or less.
I might possibly buy into 6% or less.
Yeah, but listen.
They were expensive. If you look at the slave auction things, a
Yeah.
slave was like $100 in the day.
That's a lot of money. That's like what? I don't even know what that would be in today's money.
Exactly.
That-
Exactly. It's like $5,000-$6,000.
well, back in the day, you could buy houses for like $30.
Exactly. I ain't got no money for Toby.
Yeah, it's 2.5 houses.
Yeah.
No.
I could build 2 houses for the price of one Toby. I'll farm my own shit. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and here's another thing that really annoys the shit out of me is the African American population of today has this notion that slavery built the United States.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. Now, did they actually take part in the early, parts of America, primarily in the South? Yes. But once our Industrial Revolution kicked off, they had nothing to do with that.
I have had a black guy in Detroit agree with me when I said that by the time the Civil War started, the Industrial Revolution had already reached the United States of America, which made slaves what?
Obsolete.
Antique farm equipment.
Yep.
You should have seen his face. He was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not wrong. It's a harsh way to put it, but that's what it was.
Yeah. Now, listen, I am not a proponent of slavery in any way, shape, or form. I think it's egregious and horrible.
Yeah.
But every single civilization on this planet at some point had slaves.
I have seen slave markets in North Africa.
Yeah.
They're there. It's part, you can go buy groceries in a slave.
Yeah. That's messed up.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
In North Africa.
It never died in Africa.
No, never did. The Southern economy was primarily agrarian, based on plantation culture. African slavery came to North America in the 1619, sort of, but it remained largely a mixed part of the culture for most of the 17th century. It was not uncommon to see African and white laborers working side by side. Indeed, indentured servitude, the practice of laboring for a specific period of time under contract and earning release freedom when that time was completed. That's not how it worked, because they'd go, oh, you broke that. That just adds to your debt. So guess what? You're stuck for another 3 years.
Yeah, that whole indentured slavery shit. Or
just slavery with the carrot.
Yes. The indentured servants got treated just a little bit better, in times of hardship or whatever.
Go back and read. The Irish are treated worse because the blacks were so expensive.
Yeah, well, there is that. But I just thought that when it came to actually the harshest punishments, they usually went a little easier on the Irish. No?
That's incorrect. Because, again, Toby cost $5,000. We got Patty basically for free because he screwed up and had to sell himself into indentured servitude.
Well, here's another thing, is the indentured servitude was so hated that they actually wrote that into the Constitution of this country. But it is ignored every day, 5 days a week, 50 out of 52 weeks a year, and it's called child support.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
It's 100% indentured servitude. Now, if you're forced to pay child support on a child that's not yours, that is straight up slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I went off in the weeds.
You did go off in the weeds. You brought me down, man.
Sorry, man.
You brought me down. So familial ties played a distinct role in the development of colonial relationships and successful businesses. Indeed, among the wealthy and landed gentry, arranged marriages were a way of keeping wealth within the top tier families. Guess what? Arranged marriages were a lot more common than you would think. It helped communities grow, and it helped move.
Yeah.
Because they understood inbreeding and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I guess they did have.
So they would arrange with the next town over, and you'd have these cotillion dances, and that's what a lot of those cotillion dances were.
Yep,
is to get the women who were of marriageable age out there for the men who were of a marriageable age to see each other. And at the time, that meant like 15 to 18 years old.
So you're saying it was a pegs in hole event?
Could be
setting up a peg in hole.
Could be.
Listen, and back in the day, most of those people did not get divorced.
No.
I mean, in England, I know there was the, if you didn't get along with your wife, you could sell her to somebody else or swap her for another woman. It's crazy shit. But
I don't know much about that other than Henry VIII, who actually defied the Pope himself in order to get a divorce.
And started a whole other religion.
A bunch of his women beheaded. That's a perk of being a king. You can actually have her beheaded.
Yeah.
And now you get bobbited. So Virginia society demonstrated this better than anyone. Take, for example, George Washington, a wealthy inheritor of his father's, then stepbrother's inheritance. But Washington did not bring near the amount of land and wealth to his marriage as his wife, Martha Dandridge Custis, did.
Yeah.
Before she was Martha Washington, she had been married to Daniel Parke Custis, a wealthy Virginia planter. Herself coming from a wealthy family background, when her first husband died, Martha inherited his estate, which is extremely unusual at that time for a woman to inherit estates like that. It just is what it is. People, so sexist. Shut up. It's just the way that it was. Stop applying modern rules to old history.
Here's another thing. All right. The feminists of today are like, men have always had women under their thumb. Well, back in the day, when you died of old age at 48 to 52, if you were lucky, most people caught TB, yellow fever, cholera, typhoid, even the flu, and getting yourself the shits would kill you. Dysentery.
Dysentery will kill you today. If you're not,
what we have,
don't do something about
those
it.
Medical stuff we can go to and get it taken care of. But this whole thing about, keeping women oppressed, it wasn't oppression. It was keeping them alive.
Yeah. Those young 48 to 52 death rates, that was mostly in European cities because of the conditions.
Yes.
There are plenty of cases of people living well under the 70s, 80s.
Well, when you're throwing turds out your window in the morning into the street, what do you think is going to fucking happen?
Dysentery.
Yeah.
The sad, painful death.
Yep. Your life just oozes out your butthole until you're dead.
Okay, this is a really strange rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When she married Washington in 1759, he suddenly became the benefactor to her inheritance. This was not uncommon or unique to the couple, for in an age where death could strike a young couple at any moment, second or third marriages were often welcomed as a means of security for the individual wealth. For the lower sorts in society, familial ties still played crucial parts in the development of community and regional identities in a time where rural areas far outnumbered developed townships. The scarcity in people often produced mixed families, where all the sons of the family would marry all the daughters of another.
There you go. That's weird.
Said that.
All right, hang on. Let's go down this so we don't read the whole goddamn.
We're not going to read the whole thing.
All right.
Where do you want to go?
Oh, are you almost there? All right, just finish it then.
Yeah.
All right, we'll finish this and we'll start talking about some of the fucking crazy stories.
This sets up where we are right now. Now comes the Revolutionary War.
I want to talk about killing. All right, sorry. Keep going.
What happened to you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm missing being spun up.
Yeah, I'm missing being. Yeah, I'm a little weird right now myself. I'm reading all this, going, this isn't so bad. Basically, this is the prelude to the Revolutionary War. We all know what happens next. The Americans get this idea into their head that, hey, let's form a country. It'll be neat. And they form the 13 colonies. The King of England completely rejects it, slaps them with some more taxes. Everybody gets really angry, and the two-way rifle ranges ensue.
Now, we had the Boston Tea Party where they dressed up like Indians to blame it on them. And, through the tea and shit.
I don't think anybody thought it was.
No, I know that.
I
don't think anybody bought it, but
yeah,
they tried.
Yeah,
they tried.
Yeah,
bunch of white guys in Indian faith.
Now, see, none of that existed at the time. There was no concept of all.
Yeah, I know.
There was just no concept of that. I mean, it was just dressing up as Indians and throwing tea overboard.
Yep. And I drink tea, but I'm not going to fight a war over it. Okay. Just say it.
Popping his Dane tea.
Yeah. Pop likes his Dane tea.
Yeah,
he's got root beer today, I think. Yeah. Is that root beer? Yeah. So, anyway, Journal of the American Revolution. A soldier's life in the 18th century was surely difficult. Most people think only the total war that raged on, where troops marched toward uncertainty and the possible death in battle lines, firing volleys at one another, but it wasn't always about facing the enemy. Military life was full of its own dangers, even when no battles raged. I assure you, even in the regular, normal army, all kinds of stupid shit happens.
Oh, yeah.
Pop and I have both seen deaths in motor pools, deaths in staging areas.
Train yards.
Yeah.
I didn't see the guy die, but
Yeah.
he didn't make it.
We got there to first tank had their motor pool right in front of the entrance to Camp Casey. And we went there to pick a bunch of guys up that were new recruits from the repo depot. And the ground guide
Got pinched.
And for the M1 tanks, they're huge. They're damn near the size of a city bus. They have ground guides around them when they're moving them in the motor pool so that the driver can park that thing because it doesn't exactly have rear view mirrors.
Yep.
And one of the ground guides lost control of what he was doing. The ground guide behind the tank wasn't paying enough attention and was pinched between two tanks just above the waist.
And that happens quite often back in the day.
Yeah.
It happened a lot with the M60 tanks as well. And during World War II, while they were getting ready to go over to England, they probably lost a couple dozen guys getting crushed and ran over by the rolling stock back in the day.
Yeah.
It's very common.
Yeah, it's alarmingly common. And in the Navy version of that is guys being cut in half by the arresting cables on the carrier decks.
Oh, yeah. That's a bad one.
That I heard a couple of freaking horror stories about that from our naval counterparts.
Yep.
Even moving from one camp to another involved countless jobs for the soldier that would test his physical and mental acuity, from building huts in the brutal cold to having to do picket duty in the heavy snow or the humid summer heat. Been there, done that. So is he.
Done all that
Probably
shit.
more than I have. No, definitely more than I have. You were a freaking 11 bullet catcher.
Yes. Yeah. I built many a hooch in all kinds of terrain and weather, and it sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I looking back on it, I felt that's the most alive I've ever felt in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Eventually, after a while, we got tired of it and boiled it down to the sleeping bag you needed for the weather, some bungee cords, a poncho, and a poncho liner, and a hammock.
Yeah,
and we would string a fucking caterpillar cocoon.
Yeah,
that was it.
I did that many times myself.
We knew it was going to suck. We were just like, okay, we're going to do the minimal amount of work we need to do because it's going to suck no matter what we do.
The best hooch I ever built, I actually had a little fireplace.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we used heaters, little heater thingies.
I built it out of rocks and mud.
Yeah.
And it was going out of the hole. I'm like feeding wood into it. My squad leader's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm warming up. What the fuck? It's like, who builds a fucking this is insane.
You built a fireplace
in a foxhole, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was an M60 hole. It was pretty big.
Yeah, sure.
You put like 6 people in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just flat out built a fire
in the corner. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
What are you gonna do?
That's outstanding. That's fantastic.
And I never forget the squad leader's like, who does this? And I'm like, what? Yeah. Sorry. Went off in the weeds.
Didn't even account for the disease which plagued the soldiers' tent community. We talked about that. Poor food rations and being ill-equipped and barely clothed played a huge part in the mortality rates of the Pennsylvania Continental Line. Those who survived did not always leave the service as they entered. You're going to be missing stuff. Some men suffered a little bit more than others and lived to tell the tale to their pension boards during the war. Or during and after the war. You think you're having a tough day. It's quite probable those poor men had it far worse than you. Some of them even received bizarre and terrible wounds in the defense of their country, while others just made mistakes while soldiering off the battlefield. Here are some of the more troubling ones that we've heard.
Yep.
Let's see how close it matches up with ours.
All right.
Accidentally soldiered too hard. I'd like to know how this happens. What do you have to do to lose your sight? John Carney, late a private soldier in the 9th Pennsylvania Regiment, aged 35 years, made appear to this court that he lost his eyesight by reason of severe duty and hardship he underwent in the Army of the United States.
It doesn't tell you how.
Doesn't tell you how, but he lost his eye. Well, that doesn't surprise me terribly.
There was no safety glasses back then.
There were none.
No.
Handling a firearm for most of these soldiers was something they were doing for the first time when they enlisted. That is categorically false. Pretty much everybody had a firearm back then.
Or had knowledge of how to use one.
Yeah, in the continental United States. I don't know where they got that idea.
There was Indians and,
well, you had to hunt for game.
Ruffians.
A lot of these people didn't have large herds of cattle.
Nope.
you hunted game. You hunted deer and rabbit and stuff, and there was no poaching. Like in England, you couldn't kill game at all. Everything belonged to the king, and you would be hanged or put in prison for it. You got to the Americas, and all of a sudden there's game everywhere, and you can eat anything you want.
If you can
if you can catch it. So everybody had a rifle. So I don't know where they got that from. The petition of Simon Gore was read, setting forth that the petitioner had been a private in Captain Thomas Palmer's company of rifle militia of this city last summer campaign. That by the accidental discharge of a rifle, the ball and wiper thereof passed through both of the petitioner's thighs and most terribly shattered the bone of one. I have heard of this, and one of my buddies was shot through the calf by a moron during a freaking Calfax.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a guy shot in the parking lot in the Ranger Battalion with a .45 caliber, and the bullet was still in his calf, and it's probably there to this day.
Oh yeah, you told me that one. They were like driving around or something, and
they were out drinking and driving, carousing. They came back to the barracks. One guy got out of the vehicle, was fucking around repositioning his fucking pistol. Boom! It went through the door of the seat and into his calf. It would have taken his leg off if it didn't go through the door of the seat and then hit his leg.
45 is a big fat slug that takes a lot of stuff with it when it hits.
And he returned to duty, and 2 months later,
when we got to Camp Essayance, 635 Field Artillery had just left the base. They left an arms room, and they left us a crate of 10 grease guns.
Ooh.
Oh, with a bunch of ammo. Straight to the range.
Yeah.
Straight.
I love that thing.
Dude, they're so cool.
And those things were cheap to make, too. All right, let's keep going.
Pressed metal. Frostbite. Oh, this one is the one I know.
Yes.
Michael Tudor, late a soldier in the Pennsylvania Regiment, commanded by blank Captain blank Company. He lost his feet by the severity of the winter on the lines in 1777 under Colonel Morgan. I have seen Frostbite and Kill Blaine and everything else.
One of
the worst.
The frostbite I saw, the guy's toe had turned black. It looked like it was mummified.
Yes.
And I remember the medic is like, that toe's gone, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, what? You can save it. He goes,
no.
Nah, they're going to cut that off, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just preparing for you now.
Yeah.
He went on the helicopter. It cut his toe off.
Yeah. Probably one of those sad fellows without a blanket. To John Thompson, late a sergeant of Captain Dalbert's company in the Pennsylvania Regiment, aged about 50 years. There you go. This guy's 50, and he's a sergeant in the regiment.
50.
That he was transferred from his said regiment to the Regiment of Invalids and discharged for the same as unfit for further duty in either garrison or the field on account of his disability occasioned by a frost in lying out in the camp in the hard winter, by where he rendered incapable of getting a livelihood by the labor. So what this tells me is the idiot camped on the ground.
Yeah, he lost. He's an invalid.
Probably messed him up.
He probably didn't live much longer. He's 50. He probably didn't see 55.
Yeah. Never, ever, 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 ever sleep on the ground if you don't have to.
Unless you make your own fireplace. Just saying.
Don't play with sharp objects. To Christopher Barris, late a private in the 10th Pennsylvania Regiment, and from thence transferred to the Regiment of Invalids, aged about unspecified years, that he was discharged from the regiment, from the same Regiment of Invalids on account of a wound received by a stroke of a broad axe, which he received in the year 1778 in the service of the United States. Somebody's on the field with an axe. I'm smelling Hessians.
Yeah. Well, there was that time when we were hitting each other with the big big wood mallet that you.
Oh, for driving the stakes for the GP Large.
Yeah, everyone
put your
does
black vest on.
Yeah, go ahead, hit me.
Okay, man. Okay, hit me. Oh my God,
we were so stupid.
When Popp and I first reconnected back in 2009, he and I were sitting in his living room in front of the fire, watching Ranger TV, which means two guys staring at a fire and drinking a beer. And we started talking about that. Because we've all done that. If we're in the Army for long enough, with the time we were in, you hit each other with the big wooden mallet used to drive the stakes for the big tents. that is absolutely a thing.
And here's the funny part.
Funny as hell. And somebody always gets knocked out.
Or knocked down.
Yeah, or knocked down. And an officer always comes running over.
But I've seen it. Like once I got my E5, E6, E7, I saw soldiers doing that, and I'd be like, I'd watch. I'm like, all right, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll go stop it. Once they hit each other a couple times, like, hey, knock that off.
Yeah.
Nobody gets hurt.
Knock it out.
But
oh my God.
Everyone did that.
Yeah.
At some point. Yeah. Go ahead. Hit me there. Because it's like a railroad tie that's cut into this like 12 by 12 block
it's a
of
mallet.
wood.
It's a massive mallet.
Yeah.
With like an 8.5, 9-inch head.
Yeah.
It was Hessian's.
Comedy gold.
Yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely. But this guy apparently got taken off the battlefield by a broad axe. Now, if you don't know what a broad axe is, the head on those things are like this.
Yep.
Show the one on the wall behind you.
Well, this is
that's not a broad axe. That is a battle axe.
Yeah.
But it is still, you can imagine being hit by that. Now, something probably 4 times that size.
Well, no, usually it'd be double the size of the size of the
for
blade.
a broad axe?
Yes.
I think it's bigger than that.
No, usually it's about 8 inches. I collect
Am I
weaponry.
thinking of a Bartichet?
No. I collect weaponry.
It's fine. I understand. Best this lad wished he had an ergonomic lifting practices back in the 18th century. To George Parker, late a private of the 6th Pennsylvania Regiment, aged about 24 years, when he received a hurt in his leg in erecting huts at James Island in South Carolina in the service of the United States. So he probably like wrecked a leg really bad.
It sounds like a torn tendon.
Or something like that. That's another injury that happened all the time.
If you got injured where you needed surgery back then, you didn't get surgery. You were just injured forever.
And you were also sent on your merry way.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that's not unusual even in our army.
No.
I had injuries like that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd send you to the TMC and here's some Motrin, drink water.
Well, we had one guy, his arm came out of socket doing chin-ups.
I saw that on an obstacle course.
Yeah,
I also saw a hip come out of socket on the obstacle course.
Well, this injury got him like kicked out of the regiment. He had to go down the leg land.
Oh no!
Because you're supposed to be able to do parachute stuff.
Yeah.
And if your arm pops out of socket,
you're not pulling. Yeah.
That was it for him.
No,
he was only like I think 23. It could happen to anyone.
So he'd be like a circle floater. Like pose one direction.
Circle floater. Yeah. Or I've had guys just going down the steps, roll an ankle. And they're, laid up for 4 to 6 weeks.
I rolled an ankle on a run to the point where when my buddy Bill Hunter came over to try and help me up, I knocked him out.
Yeah, that happened. That fucking hurt.
I was seeing white.
Yeah.
Like literally, not exaggerating. Actually, like my vision was like, seeing white.
Pain is a weird fucking thing.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to tell you is, even back then, it was worse because they didn't have the shit we have today.
With the exception of the broad axe, everything they've said here, Pop and I have seen in some form.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone hit with an axe.
No. Hammer, yes. Axe, no. Disease and unsanitary conditions cause incidents like this to occur more frequently than you probably know. The petition of William Maris was read, setting forth that the petitioner was a private soldier in the 2nd Battalion of Militia commanded by John Bayard, Esquire, in the latter year of 1776, that the petitioner, while on actual service at the period, contracted a most violent cold in his head when concentrated in his right eye and obliged him to leave camp, which was then at Bristol, and return to the city of Philadelphia in order to be cured. That after undergoing a variety of medical treatment by several eminent surgeons at great expense, he was at last obliged to suffer the operation of having his eye taken. He probably got a very bad sinus infection, and they did not have antibiotics at the time.
Yep.
That was not a thing. If you got a sinus infection, you were just kind of screwed, and, well, you could lose an eye because it would fall out of your fucking head.
It probably ruined the sinus cavity and the whole deal.
Most of the casualties in the much later Civil War were from shit like this.
Disease.
Yes.
And putting their peckers in the wrong holes.
That would also cause problems.
Yep.
That could also problems. Chopping wood, it's serious business. What happened next was just tragic. To Abraham Bates, late a corporal in the 10th Pennsylvania Regiment, wounded in the leg by an axe cutting wood, afterwards wounded in the other leg in the day of the Battle of the Brandywine. So
wait a minute. He was injured and went into battle and got... Okay, that's a hard motherfucker right there.
Yeah. we're going to roll on down here to Wounded in Battle, where, the court having examined and considered the case of James Brannan, late a private in the 2nd Pennsylvania Regiment, aged about 35 years. Note the ages here.
Yeah.
24, 35. There's a whole lot of ages like that amongst the privates in these regiments. Find that he was wounded in the groin in an attack on the blockhouse in Bergen County in July 1780 in the service of the United States. I do not want to get shot in the with a musket.
No. I watch that stuff on YouTube where they shoot the gelatin bodies with bones and stuff in it.
Dude.
It's very comparable to getting hit with a 12-gauge slug.
Dude.
You're done.
Dude.
Bad.
Wounded in the groin.
Yeah. I mean, your groin is gone.
Yeah. I'm like, we're 300 years out, 250 years out, and I'm sitting here uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The thought of it.
I don't get shot in the pecker with a 22, let alone a 75 caliber musket ball.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's just not right. To Thomas Carahan, late a private of the 7th Battalion of the Chester County Militia, aged about 61 years, that he was wounded in the night before the Battle of the Brandywine while on detachment by the enemy's light horse, and as he fell, he was trampled under the horse's feet and bruised all over in the service of the United States. Being trampled by an animal is an unpleasant experience.
I've never been I've been kicked by a horse, but I've never been run over by a horse.
I have been shoved over and almost trampled, and I will tell you that just almost trampled is scary enough.
Well, I mean, I've seen people, like horses, walk up and like literally take their head and throw a dude like 15 feet like he's nothing.
Yeah.
That's how powerful these fucking animals are.
People don't understand that you can't play around with.
No.
That was when I was young. I grew up in Shelby, and we go ride my friends' horses all the time. So we learned right away all that. That's where I got knocked over and almost trampled.
Yeah, it can kill you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. When you go to Yellowstone, don't try to pet the fluffy buffaloes.
No.
Do not pet the fluffy buffalo. Do not pet the buffaloes.
Yeah, you will get wrecked.
Don't pet the fluffy cows.
Ironically, this man was named after an interpreter of divine omens. He didn't see this coming. To Harmenius Thornton, late a private in Colonel Proctor's regiment of artillery, aged about 40 years.
God damn, these guys were older.
That he was hurt, and that's what they had, man. They didn't have hordes of young 18-year-olds to send off to these battles.
Yeah, you're right.
And they needed those on the farm. So the parents, the fathers would go.
I understand.
That he was hurt at the Battle of Germantown by a cannon run over him in the service of the United States. Run over by a cannon.
Yeah,
sucks.
It's not working out.
These are all incidents that are normal in war, and we don't think about all of this stuff that goes on because the only thing that anybody ever talks about were the big battles, the impressive stuff in Lexington and all of that stuff. It was. So do I have two of the same tab open?
No, it should only be one.
Yeah, I do have two of the same tab.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Because this one, we're going to move toward the fun shit now.
Yes.
I wanted to give you a taste of what that war was like after we described what America was like and what they were fighting for. So I shared that, right, Jimmy? Yeah, I shared that. Lexington and Concord, April 1775. So here's the thing. The British Army is the greatest army in the Western Hemisphere
actually,
at the time.
Back in the day, they were technically the best army in the world with the Navy. France had not come to the point where they can actually challenge them at that point.
Yeah.
France became the premier land army in like 1800-ish.
Yeah.
1895. No, not 1796.
That's under Napoleon.
Yeah, Napoleon.
I have some histories of Napoleon that were written in the 1920s.
Yeah.
They're really interesting. Most of the modern stuff is not very useful in any way.
Well, they scrub out a lot of the good shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These 1920s versions did not do that, and they also included all of Napoleon's friends who were with him at the time because he had a court. He had declared himself emperor.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway, that's a whole different show.
Yeah. Well, we can't get into it here.
We could do a Napoleon show.
Yeah, we could. Ugh.
General Thomas Gage led a force of British soldiers from Boston to Lexington, where he planned to capture colonial radical leaders Sam Adams and John Hancock, and then head to Concord to seize their gunpowder. But American spies got wind of the plan, and with the help of writers such as Paul Revere, who was one of 6 writers.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one.
He was not the only one.
And he didn't even do the whole thing. He just wrote part of it.
He wrote part of it, and he rode to one specific guy's house. Word spread to be ready for the British. Now, here's the thing. On the Lexington Common, the British force, which I believe was a full regiment, was confronted by 77 militiamen, and they began to shoot at each other. 7 Americans died, but 11 militiamen managed to stop the British at Concord and continue to harass them on their retreat back to Boston. Now, this is a big deal.
And those guys were the Minutemen.
They were the first Minutemen.
Yep.
These guys had been living in America for years at that point, if not born there in most cases. And they were backwoods hunters. They were the guys that when that piece said that most Americans had never seen a gun before. Bullshit.
Yep.
Hang on.
They did that with rifles.
Most Americans had never seen a gun before.
Yep.
These 77 guys took on the most disciplined army in the world at that time and ran them off, which is one hell of a feat.
Well, they used guerrilla warfare.
There
was no lining up. They literally would pop up, shoot a couple guys, move, shoot a couple more guys. And the British, they would do the fucking, all right, line up, wheel right. And those guys are stupid.
Left wheel. Yeah. So the British lost 73 dead, with another 174 wounded and 26 missing in action.
Holy
Math
shit.
me real quick there. That's 199.
That's almost 300 guys.
That's 273 guys.
Yeah. Holy smoking Joe Frazier.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about when I said 77 guys ran them off. And then you look at the casualty numbers and you're like, that's a full fucking regiment.
Yeah.
They ran off a whole regiment with a bunch of backwoods boys.
Yeah. I did not know the actual numbers.
I didn't know the actual numbers either until I had read this the other day.
Holy crap.
The bloody encounter proved to the British that the colonists were fearsome foes to be taken seriously. It was the start of the War of Independence.
Yep.
British attacks on coastal towns though the Revolutionary War's hostilities started with Lexington and Concord. Randall says that at the start it was unclear whether the southern colonies, whose interests didn't necessarily align with the northern colonies, and this would always hold true and still holds true to this day, would all be all in for a war of independence. The southern colonies had a lot of trade going with Europe and England. The Southerners were totally dependent upon the English to buy their crops. They didn't trust the Yankees. That last part's always been so.
Yeah.
New England, the Puritans thought the Southerners were lazy. I don't believe that. I don't think anybody thought the Southerners were lazy. I think that's a bad stereotype.
I think so.
Because they were the most productive portion of the colonies. That's where all the crops and everything were coming out of.
Well, because they had better weather too.
Yes. That was before the brutal British naval bombardments and the burning of the coastal towns of Falmouth, Massachusetts, and Norfolk, Virginia helped to unify the colonies. In Falmouth, where the townspeople had to grab their possessions and flee for their lives, Northerners had to face up to the fear that the British would do whatever they wanted to them. As historian Holger Hawkins written, the burning of Falmouth shocked General George Washington, who denounced it as an exceeding barbarity and cruelty. Every hostile act practiced.
They always say that. Whenever war kicks off and civilians start getting tore up, it's like a war against humanity. It's terrible. Look, it's fucking war, man.
Basically, when a war like this kicks off, whoever is leading the war or wanting the war to happen will take one single event or a handful of events for everybody to rally around. Concord, Paul Revere, Falmouth, all of these things. The Declaration where the Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner. They were shelling the fort there, and I can't remember the name of the fort.
Was it Fort Sumter?
Fort Sumter.
Was it Fort Sumter?
I think it was Fort Sumter. At any rate, they always do this. For us, with the whole Iraq thing, it was the Jessica Lynch incident.
Oh, yeah.
Or the ambush that...
I know a couple Rangers who were in that rescue, and it was fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but they use incidents like that when they tried to use Pat Tillman, but that turned out to be a blue on blue.
Yeah. Listen,
And
when you're in
they had to
E4,
backpedal. Yeah.
when you're in E4 in the regiment, you just don't do shit like that.
Yeah.
You need to get on the radio and tell people that what you're doing, because you will get lit up.
But what I'm getting at is any incident that looked like heroism, they tried to use as propaganda.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, propaganda is always it's always been a tool, and
Correct.
if you're watching mainstream media, you're watching propaganda right now.
Yes, that is correct. And right here in 1775, leaders of the rebellion seized the burnings of the two ports to make the argument that the colonists needed to band together for survival against a ruthless enemy and embrace the need for independence. That's propaganda. That's what it is.
100%.
I mean, whether it's your side or their side or somebody else's side, it's still propaganda. That's just how
That's how they rolled.
works. So amongst these guys, let's go through some of the people that fought in this war that most people don't know about, because these are some interesting
Well,
stories.
let's also talk about all the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. I think 2 of them rescinded their signatures, but virtually everyone that signed that
Ended up dead or poor.
dead or penniless.
Yep.
Just think about it. There's no happy ending for heroes.
Their life, their blood, and their sacred honor.
There is no happy ending for heroes. So you need to know that if you're going to, take that step forward to be the hero, you're going to pay a horrible price. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
Sorry, I
That's
didn't mean
correct.
to get all
No, that's okay.
doom and gloom.
That's okay. I started thinking.
I
I went down the thinky hole.
I could smell the smoke.
Yeah, there you go. 6 unsung heroes of the American Revolution, from an asthmatic Quaker to a notorious traitor. 6 amateur soldiers. Let's see what we got. That guy looks healthy.
Yeah. He looks like he has a face wrist disconnect problem.
That Henry Knox. From Henry Knox's days as a street teenager brawler in Boston, fighting was in his blood. Although the co-founder of the Boston Grenadier Corps lacked a military education, he knew where to find it on the shelves of his shop, the London Bookstore. The plump 24-year-old bookseller quickly impressed General George Washington when he arrived in 1775 to take command of the Continental Army during the siege of Boston. Knox was really responsible for the Patriots' first victory when they forced the British out of Boston, according to Jack Kelly. Tasked with transporting cannons from the recently captured Fort Ticonderoga, Knox managed to move the heavy artillery over 300 miles of winter terrain using enormous ox-drawn sleds until they pointed at the British from Dorchester Heights. So 300 miles
On sleds
1775
being pulled by
on
oxen.
sledges being pulled by ox in that winter.
Yeah. Can anyone say that's gotta suck?
That's balls.
Yeah. No.
Gives a
That's
whole
hard.
new meaning to the phrasing "embrace the suck."
Yeah.
It does. It
my
does
God.
indeed. And it also demonstrates the kind of things that we used to be capable of. Somebody would look at that today and wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Would not even know where to begin. But it also brings up another thing that I want to point out, because I want to point it out more than once here. The federal government, even today, has no mandate to stand up an army, and nobody knows this. There is no mandate to stand up an army. The states were supposed to provide the regiments, and that's how it always worked. Private
Correct.
landowners would as well.
Yeah.
There were regiments forwarded by wealthy men who would provide for that regiment's weapons, uniforms,
Well, if you look back to the
pay,
Spanish,
and everything.
the
Yeah.
Spanish-American War,
Mhm.
all of those soldiers were basically civilians that went there to go fight.
State regiments.
Yeah, state regiments.
Or regiments of wealthy dudes.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. To this day, though. No,
But they did have Marines.
oh no, the Marines and the Navy are
Yes.
are the legitimate armed forces of the United States of America. There has never been, though, a mandate for an army.
Well, we
just-
got one.
We just have one. Yeah.
We also pay taxes
I know.
that was never passed either.
No. Which is an entirely different episode. Tasked with transporting the captains from the region past ox sleds until they reached Dorchester Heights and forced to evacuate.
Washington, who Kelly says had an extraordinary knack for reading men and sensing ability, chose Knox over more experienced veterans as his chief artillery officer. Now, this is the sign of a really good leader every single time.
Yes.
A leader who knows that he's got guys in his ranks who can do the job and doesn't try to do everything himself.
Or he doesn't pay it. You don't pay attention to rank.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've actually picked junior
What's that
guys.
thing you say?
What?
What's that thing you say? A good idea has no rank.
Yeah, no rank. Yeah.
Yep.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're running the show here. What's going on?
So Washington chose Knox over more experienced veterans as chief artillery officer, and artillery at the time was known as the king of battle. There are songs about it. We used to sing those songs, marching in formation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not the guy that Fort Knox is named after?
I do not know, but it is very possible. Knox managed the logistics for Washington's crossing of the Delaware River and ran the siege at Yorktown that forced the British to surrender. Washington's trusted advisor also served as the first Secretary of War for the new United States of America.
That's fucking... I didn't even know that guy existed.
And neither did
That's
I.
badass.
Yeah. Nathaniel Greene.
I've heard of this guy.
I've heard his name, but this I didn't know. Was the unlikeliest of military heroes, born a Quaker, raised a pacifist, and afflicted with asthma. Look up Alvin York from World War I.
Yep.
The Rhode Island native was even denied election as an officer in the Kentish Guard militia he helped to form in 1774 because of his pronounced limp. Greene, however, taught himself to be a great soldier by reading books on military tactics, leadership, and fortifications that he had purchased from Knox on trips to Boston and caught Washington's eye. This is why I read the Greeks all the time. This is what they would have been reading.
Yep.
All of those Polybius, the histories, is all of the battles and all of that stuff. That's where it is.
Yep.
Read Polybius. It's good for you. He had never been in a battle in his life, yet Washington saw his talent. Greene was appointed the youngest brigadier general in the Continental Army in 1775 and was promoted to major general under Washington the following year. Today, that is an actual impossibility to be just promoted to general.
Yeah, you're not walking in as... Well, if you're trans, maybe they'll do that today.
A trans-Indonesian Panamanian midget with one leg.
Well, we have a trans admiral.
Not really an admiral.
I know, but they still appointed him honoring admiral.
I know. The same with Rupert Darfur Murphy, the Surgeon General.
I mean, you can take an enlisted guy and make him a second or first lieutenant.
That's a Mustang.
Yeah. You can take a captain and promote him no more than 2 ranks up.
Mm-hmm. Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah, a general could, like, if you're a captain kicking ass and a bunch of people get whacked, he can walk up. All right, Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Yeah.
It happened a lot in World War II.
Yeah. So Greene was appointed the youngest brigadier general in the Army in 1775. He was promoted to major general under Washington the following year. After successes at Trenton and Germantown, Greene served ably as a quartermaster after Valley Forge and as commander-in-chief of the Southern Army in a campaign that forced British commander Charles Lord Cornwallis, who was a serious badass.
Yeah.
Cornwallis was one of the best British generals out of the Carolinas as a prelude to Yorktown. He was thought of so highly that it was traditionally thought that Washington would have chosen Greene to be commander-in-chief of the Continental Army had anything happened to him.
In the movie Patriot, he was going against Cornwallis.
Yes, exactly. Cornwallis was a bad MF. That was Francis Marion, the Scots, the Swamp Fox.
Yep.
John Stark, not to be confused with Tony Stark. When news of the shots fired at Lexington and Concord on April 19, 1775, reached John Stark, the 46-year-old farmer and sawmill operator immediately recruited 400 men and marched to Boston. That's a regiment. He just formed a regiment just like that.
Holy shit.
Hey, let's do a regiment. Let's go. All right, let's go. All right. That's crazy.
Wow. 400 motherfuckers.
400 motherfuckers just like that. That's crazy. The French and Indian War veteran led his regiment into the Battle of Bunker Hill on June 17, 1775, and posted them in a noticeable gap in the Patriots' defense, from which they prevented the British from getting around the American line. Flanking at that time was a death sentence.
Yes.
If you got flanked, you're
done.
You're done. If the British had gotten into the rear, the Patriots would have been routed. There you have it. So Stark saved the day at Bunker Hill. While the Patriots ultimately lost the battle thanks to Stark, they inflicted severe casualties on the British. 2 years later, Stark's militia stopped the momentum of the British advance from Canada at the Battle of Bennington, when the elderly Stark sent his regrets for his inability to attend an 1809 reunion of veterans from that battle. He closed with the exhortation, "Live free or die," which remains the motto of New Hampshire to this day.
Wow.
So that's where that comes from. John Stark, not to be confused with Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's a bad motherfucker.
It is a bad motherfucker. I don't want to sign up for your thing.
Well, first of all, if you have the charisma to raise 400 dudes,
yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
especially back then when you
Yeah.
don't have Facebook and you can't like get on and use
Yeah,
your
I mean,
400 followers.
you got to pay attention to men like that.
Yeah.
Because one, they're rare.
Yes.
Two, they're excessively useful.
Yes.
In fact, I would argue they're indispensable.
I would agree.
So,
Daniel Morgan was a natural fighter. He grew up on the frontier and for fun fought in no holds barred brawls. Welcome to Detroit on a Friday night in the 1980s. In the summer of 1775, the rowdy Virginia answered the call for volunteers and commanded the first troops specifically recruited for a national army by the Continental Congress. Morgan's group of backwoods Virginia riflemen participated in the siege of Boston and answered Washington's call for recruits in the failed invasion of Canada. I didn't know there was an invasion of Canada.
Oh, they toyed with it. It was logistically impossible, and it was a massive failure.
All they would have gotten out of it is some Molson and some Moose.
Yeah, they got some good beer.
Maple
I guess.
syrup.
It is what it is.
French chicks.
Eh.
More trouble than they're worth.
They smell.
Morgan's group of backwoods Virginia riflemen participated in the siege of Boston and answered Washington's call for recruits in the failed invasion of Canada. Nicknamed Old Wagoner for his work driving supplies during the French and Indian War, Morgan spent a year as a prisoner of war after being captured in Quebec in December of 1775. Receiving the rank of colonel after his release, Morgan fought at the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. 3 years later, he was promoted to brigadier general and given command of Light Infantry Corps during the Southern Campaign. Ooh, they were using light infantry by that time.
Well, yeah. Well, if that's all you got. That's all you got.
Describe light infantry for the kiddies out there.
Well, light infantry is basically you got what you got on your back. The only weapon you have is the one you carry into battle. You're not getting supplies or any of that horse shit. It is you against them and the elements, pretty much.
We had 3 divisions of light infantry. Now we only have 1. 2-5.
Oh, okay.
25th at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. 7th Infantry
It's gone.
is gone.
7th ID, I believe, is gone. 9th ID is gone. I was there at their deactivation ceremony.
Yeah, 7th ID was Fort Ord. They were decommissioned in 93. I was part of the BRAC when I got to Monterey.
Now, listen.
When we were on casual for 2 months, we were cleaning up Fort Ord.
If it kicks off, you know they're going to pull flags out and reactivate divisions.
Yeah.
So I know the 7th and the 9th are going to be probably 2 of the ones that are going to be stood up first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Light infantry is incredibly useful. The 7th used to have a thing, I forget what they called it, but they had a freaking 100-miler that they would do with just the infantry guys, and they would march from Ord to another camp way down the coast and back. And they do it over a couple of days. You're not doing 100 miles.
No, you're not doing 100 miles.
You're not doing 100-miler.
You have a hard time doing 30 in a day.
The longest I ever did was 24, and that beat my ass. We got to the end of it, and I was like,
I think I was 32 miles.
Yeah. But you were a fucking long tabber and a ranger and all that stuff. We were just freaking camo guys.
So anyway, 3 years later, he was promoted to brigadier general and given the command of the Light Infantry Corps. His most memorable victory came in January 17th, 1781, with a stunning triumph at the Battle of Cowpens in South Carolina. When I was a kid in school, we studied the Battle of Cowpens, but I can't remember any of it anymore. I don't. We studied a bunch of the major battles of the Revolutionary
But that one was like
War,
towards the
but
end of
back
the war.
Yeah,
I think that was the end of the war.
1781.
Yeah.
Anthony Wayne sounds like he should be like a rapper with P.
Well, we used to have Fort Wayne here in Michigan.
We still have Fort Wayne. Yeah,
Wow.
it's in Detroit.
Yeah.
It's still there. The fort is still there.
Uh,
The actual fort is still there.
It is still there?
It's still there.
I thought they tore that motherfucker
No.
down.
Nope.
Man, I'm out of touch.
Fort Wayne is
Make
still
this
there.
a summer to share and
What?
save during the Kia Summer
I
Sticker
don't want
Sales
you to do
event
that.
and the 3-row
Stop
Kia
that.
Sorrento.
Nobody asked you. Sorry about
Shit, who wants the Kia?
that. Anthony Wayne's schoolmaster said he would never become a scholar, but he thought perhaps he could become a soldier because of how he organized all of the schoolboys in mock battles and attacks. There you go.
Can't do that today.
The
It's toxic
schoolmaster-
masculinity.
Exactly. The schoolmaster proved prescient. We used to organize into little groups in grade school on the playground and either kick the snot out of each other or play kickball or Red Rover.
Dirt clod fights.
Dirt clod fights was another popular one. He led his men against the British at Brandywine and Germantown near his boyhood home before spending the winter at Valley Forge. In 1779, Washington ordered Wayne to storm the seemingly impregnable cliffside fortifications held by the British at Stony Point, New York. Have you ever seen those cliffs?
Yes.
There's something else.
Well, I call New York red trash land for a reason. And, you're so isolated in some of those areas. I couldn't even imagine living back in the day before they had roads.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise.
Nice. The daring nighttime assault. Ooh, he did a night assault. At that time, that was exceedingly rare.
Well, you would have to.
The daring nighttime assault, in which his men employed only bayonets as weapons, lasted a mere 30 minutes and earned the brigadier general the moniker of Mad Anthony Wayne. He took a cliff fortification at night in 1779
With
no
knives.
dogs, no climbing ropes, and just went up there with knives and got dirty.
With knives.
That's bad.
Yeah. That's a badass right there.
Anthony Wayne. I did not know that story. Dude, bayonets. 30 minutes he took that place.
Well, bayonets.
They must have just gone through and just,
They had to catch him by surprise.
yeah.
They caught him by surprise.
Yeah,
That's the
they
only
had
way.
to have caught him.
That's the only way you're doing that in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Once the battle starts and it's over in 30 minutes, it's got to be by surprise.
The notorious Benedict Arnold.
Now, in regards to Benedict,
Everybody knows the name.
we know the name. Then they fucked him over hard though. So,
I don't know the whole story. I just know his name is synonymous.
they
with
owed him a
being
bunch of
traitor.
money. He was supposed to get a couple different commands. They were just fucking 3-shell monting his ass.
Nice.
And he went over to the other side, which I believe he regretted for the rest of his days. But we're not going to read about old Benedict.
We're you know what? We are at 9:13 right now. I think it's time we go into the medals of
The
honor.
Medals of Honor.
Where should we
Start off with Civil War A through L.
go? All right. Additional Medal of Honor resources. Civil War A through L. Are the stories attached?
No, they're condensed but you can get the gist of what's going on. Like some of these guys, like were capturing enemy flags, and I know it sounds stupid,
In the day, it was a big deal.
but yeah,
You took a guide on that was a big deal.
like you're literally going against hundreds of guys with muskets, and then somehow you get there. Yeah, it was a huge morale.
They would
hit.
defend that flag like ferociously.
Yeah.
To lose your flag was a huge dishonor. It was not quite to the level of a Roman eagle, but yeah, they made a big deal out of it. Adams.
Read Aston Charles. He's down about.
Aston Charles. Okay, you have specific ones you want to see. Anderson.
It's down. It's down there.
Aston Charles?
You missed it.
How did I miss it?
Ah,
Yeah, Charles Aston.
Yeah.
See, you're saying Aston Charles, and I'm looking for the name Charles.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Rank and organization, quarter gunner, United States Navy, born 1834, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Technically a Canadian, but that's cool. Accredited to Illinois, GO number 45, 31 December 1864, citation. Served on board USS Signal Red River, 5 May 1864. Proceeding up the Red River, the USS Signal engaged a large force of enemy field batteries and sharpshooters, returning their fire until the Federal ship was totally disabled, at which time the white flag was raised. Although on the sick list, Aston courageously carried out his duties during the entire engagement. A lot of people don't know that there were quite a few naval battles during the Civil War.
The reason I picked this one is the guy was fucking in bed, fucked up.
Yeah.
He got up and like, fuck this.
Yeah.
and just he went fucking total beast mode.
Let's just grab this guy right below here. Thomas Atkinson. Rank and organization, Yeoman, U.S. Navy, born 1824, Salem, Massachusetts, accredited to Massachusetts, GO number 45, 31 December 1864. Again, a naval incident. On board the USS Richmond, Mobile Bay, that's in Alabama, 5 August 1864. Commended for coolness and energy in supplying the rifle ammunition which was under his sole charge in the action in Mobile Bay on the morning of 5 August 1864. They've got 1964.
Yeah, they fucked that up.
He was a petty officer on board the U.S. frigate Congress in 1842 to 1846, was present and assisted in capturing the whole of the Buenos Aires fleet, the vessel of Montevideo, joined the Richmond in September 1860. He was in action with Fort McRae, the head of the passes of the Mississippi, Forts Jackson and St. Phillips, the Calmets, the rebel ironclads and gunboats below New Orleans, Vicksburg, Port Hudson, and the surrender of New Orleans. So that looks like a bunch of confusing gobbledygook. Let me break it out for you. The Argentinians were assisting the Southerners at one point.
Yep.
Because of shipping and trading agreements. The Union Navy was down in the Mobile Bay area, which is off the Gulf Coast, interdicting all of these Confederate vessels, and he participated in the surrender of New Orleans, which was a huge blow to the South because that was their big shipping port.
Yep.
Again, most people don't know how many naval battles there were.
There's a whole ton of them. Have you ever read? It's about a guy who was on the Confederate side, old guy. And his two sons were killed by the Union and were decapitated. And then they took the heads of his sons and put them on the fence posts outside of his house.
That happened more than once,
but
that kind of thing.
This is what he did. He sold all his shit, sent his family to another neutral location, had a custom-made 50 caliber black powder rifle made.
Nice.
And then went to town. And he's credited for actually causing a vessel to surrender with nothing more than a rifle.
Interdasting.
Yeah, and literally he was out one of the rivers, I think it was Ohio River. There was like a Y where the boats had to fight against the current to get up. And that son of a bitch whacked like 60, 70 people on that ship.
Imagine the amount of ammo and how he would have had to carry that. Because it's not a 5.56 round where you can carry 30 rounds in a mag.
Yeah, that's a lot of gunpowder you put in there too.
Yeah.
And
you've got the wadding, you've got the powder, you've got the shot.
Yeah, it would make a great Hollywood movie. I got the book upstairs. I just don't remember the guy's name.
That'd be awesome. That'd be freaking awesome. Let's go down further here. Let's see if we can find a juicy one.
Do the Baldwin Charles.
Baldwin Charles, rank and organization, coal heaver, United States Navy, Delaware, credited Pennsylvania, citation serving on board the USS Wyalusing, and participating in a plan to destroy the rebel-ran Albemarle in Roanoke River, 25 May 1864. Volunteering for the hazardous mission, C.H. Baldwin participated in the transfer of 2 torpedoes across an island swamp. Weighted by a line which was used to transfer the torpedoes, he swam the river, and when challenged by a sentry, was forced to abandon the plan after erasing its detection and before it could be carried to completion. Escaping the fire of the muskets, C.H. Baldwin spent 2 days and nights of hazardous travel without food and finally arrived fatigued at the mother ship. This guy was dragging torpedoes through a swamp with a rope.
And getting shot at.
And getting shot at in the process. Now, he didn't complete the mission, but crap, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
But I'll just swim these torpedoes across the swamp.
but the thing is this is the American Civil War. Tactics had to change because the weapons became just way more dangerous.
Yeah.
Back in the Revolutionary War, the muskets were unrifled. In the American Civil War, every rifle had rifling. There was no muskets.
I don't know about every, but I would say the great majority of them.
I could be wrong.
A lot of people trotted our antiques out.
But here's the thing. You get hit with a mini ball, and it doesn't kill you. Something on your body is getting cut off.
Yeah.
Best we could do is cut it off.
Yeah.
The best we can do, exactly.
So, I mean, after this, and medical technology was a lot better than it was during the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
So you got to see the effects, the wounded people after the war for decades.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
true story.
then again, there still was the sterilization process and all that, and the best anesthetic they had was here, bite on this piece of twig.
Well, towards the end of the Civil War, they did have chloroform, but it was exceedingly rare.
Yep.
To get your hands on.
A lot of new medical techniques came out of the Civil War.
Yes.
If you go to new military medical techniques.
And you know what? I spent, I think, 6-8 weeks at Walter Reed when I came back from Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through that the hospital museum.
Oh, yeah.
At least half a dozen
cool
times.
Museum there. I've heard that.
It's fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
Like,
there's
they had
really cool stuff in there.
They had like pictures of dudes that were taken in like 1890, like 30 years after the war.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guy didn't have a fucking jaw for decades.
Yeah.
Like,
or the picture of the guy with the no eye.
Yeah.
Like part of his face is just not there at all.
And they still have bits and pieces in jars with alcohol and formaldehyde. Oh my God.
Do your little demonetized speech real quick.
I'm just saying. It was just nasty. And I don't know.
No, really, do the demonetized speech real quick.
What shit, damn, piss, motherfucker, eat a dick, what?
Okay. Volume down, receptors on. Do the little demonetized speech.
Which one? Which one?
Ours for the show. We're demonetized.
Oh,
People not giving us any of the stuff that they.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. We have been demonetized to the point of absurdity. In fact, if you watch our subscription count, we've always been in the negative, but we're still sticking around 132. If they were playing square with us, we'd probably have over 500,000 to 800,000, subscribers. But they don't want that to happen. We've had videos demonetized, age restricted. We've had some stricken down for nothing, to the point where we're making probably 1/13 of the amount of money we were making at our high point. During the high point of this channel, we're doing between $5,000 and $8,000 a month. We're lucky to pull in $500 to $800 now. So any little bit you could send, it will go a long way. We'd greatly appreciate it. We cover a lot of subjects that the mainstream media will not touch, and we go into subjects which are probably going to get attention from alphabet agencies, but nobody else is talking about it. We're telling you the truth in a vulgar, direct way, which is the way I prefer it. So there aren't many channels out there that are actually saving people's lives with logic, reason, and comedy. because I make jokes and I talk about some of the grimmest shit men have to face today and let them know they're not alone. There is hope. And if there is no hope, hopefully I could teach you how to laugh, to make your own fucking hope, to navigate yourself out of the quagmire of darkness you're in. So drive on, motherfucker. Stay in the fight.
Smash the like button. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Just pound the shit out of that button.
The like button is your prom date, and you've had a couple of
There you
wine
go.
coolers.
Yeah.
There you
Have
go.
fun.
Bang it like Mary Jane Rotten Crotch in the back of your mother's Cadillac.
Without the cops showing
Holy crap, a drill sergeant said something like that when we were in basic.
up.
Oh, Jesse T. Barrick, rank and organization corporal, Company H, 3rd Minnesota Infantry. There you go. Place and date, near Duck River, Tennessee. Entered service at Fort Snelling, Rice County, Minnesota, born 18 January 1841. Our little friend here is 22 years old. While on scout, captured single-handed 2 desperate Confederate guerrilla officers
Ooh.
who were together and well-armed at the time. That, on the battlefield, was a big prize, especially for an enlisted man to capture 2 officers.
Yeah, it's a huge boon.
Yes.
And listen, the write-ups, I'm sure, are bigger, but they kind of condensed them so they'd all fit in this database.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And
there's an 1871 Korean War campaign? I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
So, Civil War was the beginning of the
Medals of Honor.
Medals of Honor.
You know, the Purple Heart used to be the Medal of Honor for the Revolutionary War.
We got time to take a peek at like one more before we have to get on to the other.
Let's see if we can do a search for Sergeant York's.
That's World War I. That's easy. That's Alvin York. Boom, 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 boom. My commander in 1995.
There it is. They condensed it because his write-up is
It's
huge.
huge. My commander in 1995 was a man named Mastriano, Doug Mastriano. He's now a senator in Pennsylvania. Then Captain Mastriano was a Sergeant York nutcase.
Really?
Absolutely. To the point where we discovered that Colonel York was at the Naval Postgrad School down below Presidio. He was a colonel in the Army. It was the grandson of the Alvin York.
Wow.
So we found this out. We tracked him down. We found him and we said, hey, our captain is batshit about your grandfather. Will you please come up and speak? And he said, certainly.
Nice.
So on like a Monday, a bunch of us basically went AWOL.
That happened.
Went down and picked the colonel up, which un-AWOL'd us because now we're escorting a colonel. And walked him into Captain Mastriano's office, who proceeded to act like a girl with the Beatles walking. He didn't know whether to shit, go blind, or salute.
Wow.
And then Colonel York gave us a big speech on his grandfather and everything. And he said his grandfather was actually a very humble guy, didn't like to talk about the war, only really wanted to farm. But Captain Mastriano would then go on to write Alvin York, a new biography of the hero of the Argonne. And if you want to read a good history of Alvin York, that's the one to read. It's by Doug Mastriano.
And another thing is when World War II kicked off, he went to the recruiting station and they turned him away. They're like, no, you're good.
Yeah.
You've done enough.
That's true. That's true. His grandson mentioned that. Colonel York mentioned that. Yeah, you've done your time. Rank and organization, Corporal United States Army. He was a conscientious objector. He did not want to go to war. 328th Infantry, 82nd. Place and date, near Châtel-Chehery, France, 8 October 1918. Entered service at Pall Mall, Tennessee. After his platoon suffered heavy casualties at the hands of 3 machine gun nests, I happen to know this, and 3 other non-commissioned officers had become casualties, Corporal York assumed command. Fearlessly leading 7 men, he charged with great daring a machine gun nest. He charged 3 machine gun nests, which was pouring deadly and accurate fire upon his platoon. In his heroic feat, the machine gun nest was taken together with 4 officers and 128 men and several guns. Now, York was a Kentucky backwoods shooter. What he was doing, and his grandfather talked about this, and it's in the book as well,
Shooting the head
is
off
the
turkeys.
Germans realized that somebody was coming at him from behind, these 7 guys with York. He was country shooting.
Yep.
When you got a flock of turkeys, you don't shoot the bird in front because everybody else scatters. He was picking off the guy at the back.
Yep.
As they aggressed him, as they came toward him, he was shooting the guy at the back. So the guys in the front were like, he's missing. So they kept coming, not realizing that their numbers were being thin the whole time. And this guy did not miss.
Nope.
Did not miss. York's story is fascinating. I forget who did the original black and white movie, but that is worth doing. Audie Murphy.
Yeah, Audie Murphy's another one.
Audie Murphy is a Medal of Honor winner himself, and he played Alvin York in the movie. So that's well worth watching. We are at
the super chat time.
Yeah.
So let's start ripping these up there, Jimmy.
Alrighty. Be sure to smash that like button, guys. All over the places. Share the videos and all that good shit. We'll start over here over on YouTube where we got 461 concurrent viewers and 355 likes.
Not bad.
All right. Wow.
That is an acceptable ratio.
Yeah.
I guess they have been they're tired of seeing Hillbilly Hillary every now and then. Aren't we all? All right, let's see here. Sean St. George starts us off here with $4.99. To our esteemed panel, what do you think makes our country great?
Ingenuity, tenacity, and fuck you. I'm going to stick my thumb in your eye attitude.
A very hold my beer attitude.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is probably one of the greatest things. And in World War II, a German officer's notebook was found that said, "War is chaos, and the American soldier seems to thrive on chaos. I do not know how we can defeat them." They were terrified of us because Americans are like, we're being shot at. Ain't that cool? Yeah.
And we also didn't follow our own rules.
Yeah. We did not follow rules very well.
Yep.
Carry on.
I would say my opinion on what makes our country great. The vision that our founding fathers had for us. Yes, the vision has been, clouded.
Shat upon.
Yeah. Let's just say the vision that the founding fathers has pink eye because some people have wiped their ass with our founding documents.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that, but yet we can still go on Twitter, go on the social medias and bully politicians with no repercussions.
Yeah.
As long as you're not, advocating for violence, Harry Sisson will learn from that and a bunch of other fucking retards, but that's a different story.
I advocate for violins all the time. I love string instruments.
Gotcha. All right, let's.
You're part of the orchestra, I see.
Carry on.
Yeah. All right. Alex Patino with $5 here in a row. His first one. In 1855, a forced laborer cost was $1,450. That's $53,000 today.
Ooh, that's a lot of money.
Toby costs a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Inflation says what?
Shit.
That's a lot of money.
And Alex's second one here, he says plantation owners were the only ones who pushed to make it legal to import more forced labor from Africa in order to maintain a monopoly of forced labor.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, there's more people in slavery today than there ever was back 200 years ago. So everybody bitching about it can smurf my balls.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. Let's see. Sean St. George coming back. This one's for me. Jimmy, can you clarify? Are blue waffles your favorite waffles? Also, do you fear the syrup?
You should fear the syrup.
My attorney has informed me to not answer that first question. And yes, you should also fear the syrup. Always fear the syrup. It's Damascus 12 here for $5. People who read slavery built the nation are making a pro-slavery argument. They don't hate slavery. They hate that they're not holding the whip.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
You know what?
It's a
You know
sad.
what? That deserves one of these because that is very true. That was very well worn. Let's see. We got Redonk here with $5. REDONKK. As long as you don't put that third K in there, bro, we're good. His $5 super chat. He says, I won't be here on the 4th, but happy 4th of July, y'all. Hell yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're not going to be here, are we?
No, we're not doing a show on the 4th.
Okay.
Nope. We
You're
are.
Barbecue and pretend you're watching us.
It's all
There
good.
you go. I'm going to drive around, smoke a stogie, and watch other people blow off fireworks because I don't have the money to blow off fireworks. So
That's fine.
Let's see. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy here with $2 says Samuel Whitmore is a bad mofo nobody has heard of.
Okay. Samuel
right.
Whitmore. Write down Samuel Whitmore.
Samuel.
See what he is.
That is WHITTEMORE.
All right. I'll look him up.
There you go. And Master 12 coming back here with $5. Speaking of the Civil War, look up Razor Fist's video, Abraham Lincoln, the American Tyrant. There's no one in the USA we've been lied more about than him.
Yeah.
I have recently found out that that's true.
Yes, I actually saw that video.
Yep, that was
a lot of the history and going back through a lot of the old documents that people have been pointing out. And yeah.
Yep. Actually, Razor Fist put out a tweet earlier today about the Lincoln Project or whatever those morons are called. And they're saying, oh, locking up your political opponent and your name is the Lincoln Project. How fitting.
Huh.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, damn, that's right. That's cool.
What are you going to do?
Let's see here. And the Plains Warrior here jumping in here with $5.56. Good number. Says A. Murphy played himself in his movie. Gary Cooper played Sergeant York.
That is correct. And I misspoke. That is correct. Gary Cooper.
Yeah, that's right. It's Gary Cooper, the tall, lanky guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I was, I can't remember who I was watching. But yeah, I remember watching a video earlier today or the other day.
If I recall, Audie Murphy, he couldn't get into the Marine Corps because he was too small and
yep, he was too short. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he went through.
Anyway.
All righty. Let's see. We'll jump over here to Rumble here. We got 734 folks over there watching. Always love it when Rumble is kicking YouTube's ass, guys.
66 likes.
Rumble, how about a couple of smash the like buttons?
Oh, Rumble, you disappoint me. Rumble. Only 116. Well, you know what you get. You did it to yourselves. No. Don't blame me.
I hate that one, man.
I hate you, Jimmy.
Oh. All right. Keep going.
You say hate, I hear love. No homo. All right, we'll jump over here to Rumble here. Again, let me double check those numbers here because I got the pop out chat here. We got 720, 114. We'll see how you guys do at the end. I'm not sure we're going to do that, but we'll start off the show here with MGTOW Mander here. He says, Pop, you definitely earned the right to talk shit. It's a good thing that you have Battle Dwarf and Jimmy with the pooper scoopers.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I'd rather be scooping the poop than swabbing the poop deck on the gay cruise because that's Rhino's job.
Oh, you savage beast.
Let's see. Armed Ohio Heathen 92 here with $20 dropping in. Thank you very much. I encourage anyone who's looking to improve their field marksmanship to look into Project Appleseed. It's a family-friendly CMP that also goes into the history of the first battles over the Revolution.
Okay. That's useful. Project Appleseed.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
Write that down. Put it in the brain. Let's see. Tantalum 180 here with $2. Oh, excuse me. Says kind of cool and ironic. The subject tonight is it is what it is. Just the other day, I rewatched The Patriot.
Yeah, that's actually I like that movie. Yeah. It's pretty
good. I I was going to suggest that if Blake wasn't going to be doing the movie he selected for this month, I was going to say either The Patriot or Independence Day, just because of the holiday.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Let's see. NX Stilgar, a.k.a. Jerry Conway. Good to see you there, good brother. He says $3. Says, Shalom, MGTOW brothers. Love and peace from Boston. Remember all who came before us, who bled and died for your freedom this 4th of July.
Boston.
Yeah, excellent. You know what the difference between what pants you wear and where you lost your keys is?
No, what?
The Boston accent. Where's my khakis? Mando, I hope you appreciate that really, really bad.
Wow. That's some dad humor right there.
That was bad. That was terrible. Sorry. I apologize, everyone.
No, it's good. It's good. Keep it up.
Mando here jumping back in with $2 says, even today, there are some British MPs who think we still owe them taxes.
I've heard Brits say that while I was over there.
Oi, bruv, you owe us some taxes.
Fuck them.
Go fuck yourself, Brit.
Yeah, we're not doing
that. Let me write a check to SMB. My Smurf my balls tax.
Yeah,
I'll get it sent over to you right away. Let's see. Mando coming back here again says, I hate to correct a senior NCO or Hogslayer, but the Declaration of Independence was prior to the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution was after the Articles.
Okay, I fucked up.
That part I know. I thought the Articles of Confederation were originally drafted before the Declaration and then introduced after the Declaration.
There's a super chat that just came in I got to read. It's for J. Roger Smith, $2. He got full custody of his kids today in court.
Woo! Fuck yeah! Hell yeah, baby! Yeah! Hell yeah! Gangster him, Jimmy.
Fuck yeah.
Winning.
God, I love hearing that.
Oh, God, I love hearing that stuff. Hell yeah.
Fucking news all around. Hell yeah. Love to hear that, man. All right. Let's see here. Paladin BR here with $5 says, Edward Teach, Blackbeard, settled down in Bath, North Carolina, not South Carolina.
Yes,
Tobacco was more in North Carolina than South due to geography and port availability. Grew up 45 minutes from Bath. Neighbor was a reenactor.
There you have it.
Nice.
There you have it. My memory is not perfect. Sometimes I misremember.
It's all good.
Yep.
Yeah, but your memory is better than Joe Biden's, so I think we're good.
Thanks, Jimmy, for saying my memory is better than a pile of wet, cold rat shit.
You're welcome. Paladin coming back here says Eastern NC was mostly swamp. Yep. Only deepwater port was Wilmington. Coastal NC was a haven of pirates. Queen Anne's Revenge was grounded off of Beaufort, North Carolina, graveyard of the Atlantic.
Mm.
Nice. I have heard the East Coast has quite the pirate ship bones here on the ground there.
Look at the things you learn on this show, though.
Yeah.
Look at the things you learn on this show. Who would have known that? Like, you go walk up to somebody on the street and ask them if any of that stuff and see if they know it.
They probably don't.
Probably don't.
They probably couldn't tell you 5 states inside the United States.
That's a safe bet.
Let's see. Rule Man Life with $5 here. On this day in 1863, Maine's Colonel Joshua Chamberlain's orders bayonet charge of the Battle of Gettysburg. Chamberlain had no choice because his regiment simply ran out of 58 caliber pointed mini balls.
Oh. Well, that's crappy.
That's a shit show.
Yeah,
right there.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean we're in the middle of a firefight? We ain't got no ammo? Oh, this is gonna be fun.
I mean, the cliff assault, that was a deliberate planned action to be forced into battle with bayonets.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Is another monkey.
This guy's dead.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
His last name is Hewlett, right? I
Yeah.
went to Iraq with him.
Yeah.
And this dude would go on patrol with this insane amount of fucking ammo. He'd have all his mags full, and he'd have a rucksack with ammo in his back. And I remember, I'm like, Hewlett, man, why the fuck you carry so much ammo? He'd be like, oh, you ever run out of ammo in a firefight? It's a goddamn nightmare.
He was not going back down that trail again.
No, it only happened to me one time. It never happened again.
Yep.
So I'm like, carry on.
Carry on.
Yep. Let's see. Mando coming back here with $2. This may be close to the mark, but don't we call modern slave market family courts?
I would have to say yes.
Asking for everyone who has been through the ringer.
Yep. Pop and I have both been through that particular ringer.
Oh my God. And this is the way I look at it right here. Listen, that fight's over for me. I lost that war.
Yep.
I got it. But if through my efforts, if one dude gets to have his fucking kids, then it's fucking worth it. Because any soldier worth his salt clears the obstacles for the soldiers behind him. That's the way you run your shit.
Exactly. That's why we do this stuff.
Yeah.
Now. That's why I lost everything. I lost $140,000 in assets and cash. I lost a career. I lost my security clearance. But in the end, I won and got custody of my daughter. I would do all of that all over again for that same result.
There you go.
So.
Damn right. Paladin BR here with $10 says the arresting gear can get you, but the lines parting and snapping back have gotten a lot more semen. Phrasing. Takes off bits or leaves a smear of salsa. Imagine Pop's tow line times 200.
Yeah, fuck that. I would not want to get hit with a steel cable. Especially if it's getting hit by the tow hook on the back of an aircraft and it has that much tension, you're getting cut in half. You're dead. I got hit with a nylon strap and it knocked my ass out. I woke up in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get hit by one of those cables that catch aircraft coming in, one part of you is going over the starboard, the other part is going over the port.
Yeah, you are done.
Yeah. I didn't join the Navy on purpose.
Yes.
And of course, my first assignment was USS Blue Ridge supporting fucking two Ranger and a bunch of other stupid assholes.
All right.
Anyway,
MX Stilgard coming back again. He says the term mortgage is a Latin term that literally translates as a pledge unto death, which it was and still is in many cases. Shalom, gentlemen. Happy Independence Day.
All right. Thank you, man.
I'll have to do the linguistic research on that. I did not know that.
Yep. And he comes back again and says it was the Hessians, Pop. Hesh-uns, not ruffians. Lol.
I got you.
Hessians, ruffians. Tomato German.
Yeah, most of those guys, most of those Hessians never made it home.
Yes, that's correct.
No.
And some of them who did survive just ended up staying.
Yeah, they just stayed here. I said, fuck it.
Fuck it. We're here.
Okay. M. Tyler 11, he's got our first not worthy drop tonight. He's dropping a $50 bill.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Thank you very much.
And he goes on to say, on the article on soldiering too hard and not handling guns, them NYC boys were more, quote, civilized. Well, till Lincoln read the proclamation, rioted for 3 days. They weren't dying for the darkies. It just got dark in here.
Yeah, I've covered the New York draft riots.
Yeah,
they're pretty brutal.
Yeah,
and that'll happen again once they kick up the draft.
Yeah,
just so you know.
Yep. Let's see. Sarku, he's dropping $1 on us, just like the strippers that we are, tipping $1, allegedly. He says, Sardaukar.
Sardaukar. All right.
MX Stilgard coming back in. He says, I'd love to talk with you guys about the revolution growing up in Boston. I've been to many sites many times. P.S. It's amusing to hear non-natives pronouncing the names of the battle sites. Peace.
I see.
Fair enough.
I see. We're not pronouncing the sites to your liking. Okay. That's fair.
It's fair.
You come on the show and correct us. It's fine.
It's all right.
That's all right.
And I've been to. Well, no, I didn't go to Boston. I went to Philadelphia for a DC field trip.
I've been to Boston like half a dozen times. It's not bad. It's all right.
Yeah. No thanks. I avoid big cities. Let's see. M. Tyler 11 coming back again, dropping $20. Says there are 2 Fort Knox. Everyone knows Kentucky, but the historic retired Fort Knox in upstate Maine.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. Okay.
There you go. Rule Man for Life is coming back here with $5. Says for Colonel Joshua Chamberlain's heroics by not getting his regiment overrun by 700 Alabama Alabama infantryman ordering a bayonet charge on the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg was awarded the Medal of Honor.
There you go.
There you go. I myself, I don't ever want to see that kind of action.
I have no
I'm
interest
good.
in earning a Medal of Honor. Thank you very much.
No.
Yeah, no.
You know
no
what? The
thanks.
people who get them, the guys who get those, they don't have any interest in that either.
Yeah,
they're not out there looking for it.
Most of them are just like, what?
Yeah.
I'm what?
Yes.
And most of them that do get it die doing their heroic acts.
That's right.
Yes.
So
bravery is an unfortunate dude in a shitty situation who is shitting himself and does what needs to be done anyway.
The color of bravado is blood red.
that needs to be a bumper sticker.
It's in my
Yeah.
book.
Let's see. Tantalum 180 coming back again with $2 says, even despite glitches and hiccups from growing pains on Rumble, interrupting my sub, I will keep throwing what I can at y'all's way.
Thank
Been
you.
watching for around 7 years, and I try to give back despite inflation.
7 years. God, thank you so much, man.
7 years.
7 years.
Hey, I'm going to grab this one even though it's not a super chat because it's funny. A doctor, a lawyer, and a Jewish banker go into a strip club. The doctor puts a 50 in the G-string. The lawyer puts 100 in. The Jewish banker takes out his debit card, swipes the stripper's ass crack, and takes the money. Okay, that's just funny.
Sorry. Carry on.
That's funny.
I have not heard that one yet.
I
But,
haven't either. And
that's
I'm
a
very
good one.
glad you said that.
I'm gonna have to remember that one. Let's see. Paladin BR coming back in for $20. Thank you very much again for your generosity, good sir. I'm from the same hometown as Jacqueline Lucas. Look him up when you get to the World War II CMOH.
Spell that last name.
Lucas.
Lucas, Lucas.
Nice.
Yep. He says he still had some family and visited occasionally when I was growing up. Mr. Jack was a pretty cool dude.
Nice.
All right.
Freaking cool.
There you go. Let's see here. Mando coming back in. Normally I would not ask of this, but could you guys raise a glass to my sister? She will have completed 39 orbits around our sun on Thursday.
All right. I don't have any beer left, but all right.
Well, I don't. Again, I don't have a beer in my. I don't have a beer in my hand, but I guess I can do this.
I hate that one. I hate it because my face fits on there so perfect.
Yeah, it does.
Happy early birthday to your sister there, Mando. International Household whoop ass. I like that name. Says I was in Iraq in 08-09, had a first lieutenant hide behind me yelling, "They're shooting!" I yelled back at him, "Shut up and shoot back!"
That's exactly what you do.
That's exactly what you do.
Every award I got was downgraded because I made him look like a bitch.
Don't fucking worry about it. I keep those awards with pride because you know that he downgraded him because he was a bitch.
No, well, first of all, the award system in the military is broken beyond repair.
It is. Yeah,
that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see. Cliff 3188 coming in here says this stream makes me feel so patriotic. I'm pissing red, white, and blue.
Do
You
I
might want to
sense-
go. You might want to go see a doctor, bro. He actually did. Doc says it's kidney stone issues, but I told that non-American shot pushing commie fucker to shut his mouth.
There you go. Shut your
Yeah.
face.
I don't know. Kidney stones is no fucking joke, man.
There you go. Paladin BR coming back here says, "Pop, arresting gear are only on carriers. Lines parting happens on every ship. Mooring lines, bud."
Oh, they all have lines.
Yeah. Yep. They've killed and maimed a lot of soldiers. They drilled it into our heads, even in great mistakes. RTC.
Even the anchor chains. Some guys get caught up in that and dragged through that little fucking hole, and there's nothing left but bits of meat. I'm sorry. It's getting grim. Why did my brain go there? I keep going.
Keep going.
Well, I guess we're having sloppy joes for tonight.
Oh,
Where's Joe?
God. Oh, damn.
Manwiches.
You're on fire.
Let's see. Sarku dropping a $2 bill here says Fort Snelling overlooking a river where the Mississippi and Minnesota River meet.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Looks like last one over here on Rumble here. Oh, Cliff says it's obviously a joke, guys.
Oh, yeah. We
cool.
know, man.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Let's see.
Grunt.
M. Tyler 11 here with $10 says movie Gettysburg did a real good job portraying Chamberlain, fighting Maine's second ID. Is a quality movie and accurate to history.
I like that movie. Yeah, we got dumb idiots blowing shit up.
Yeah, we got incoming here. It's Detroit.
Yeah, just keep going.
Keep going.
Unless the lights go out, everything will be fine.
Right.
There you go. We did have a few come over here over on YouTube. Don't want to miss those. The big guy with 199 says Big Poopin' and Booty Dwarf.
Yeah, things happen.
And again, we got John Roger Smith dropping $2. Says got full custody of his kids today in court, and she has to pay me $500 a month in child support.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
love to hear that shit right there.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Plains Warrior coming back in with 556. To Hell and Back and Sergeant York, both excellent movies. Must watch.
Yes.
Oh yeah. See, Eric Martin Sucre. Apologies for butchering your last name there, good sir. $10 says, I love you guys. No homo.
There you go. No homo.
All right. All good.
See, Sean St. George, he's dropping a $50 bomb on us. I better drop one of these on him then.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's talking to Jay Smith here. Says, I understand the feeling of relief you must be feeling now. Never married, but got full custody of my son. Helped the mom. It helped the mom didn't show up to court. Pissed off the judge. She still owes me tens of thousands in child support.
You'll never get a nickel of that.
Well, hang on. If you really want to get money out of her, all right, you file a federal lawsuit against the county for sexual discrimination because they refuse to enforce that child support order. Oh. She'll be in jail in 72 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they will go berserk.
Sean, get in touch with Popp. Maybe you guys can do some administrative violence and whatnot. Because I talk to Sean on the regular and whatnot. Damn good dude. Damn fine dude. I'd like to see him get what he is owed. See, jump back over here to Rumble. I knew Mando was going to say it. Says, better sloppy joes than sloppy seconds.
I know. I saw that.
God damn it.
God.
That was a good one.
Mando, you dirty, dirty bastard. So we need to let everybody in the chat know if we really want to have a Make Pop Puke episode. I know of two guys to have on the show.
No, don't do that, please.
That will make Pop Puke, and Mando is one.
Oh, no, I'm interested in hearing more about this.
No, please, no. Okay.
Yes, Mando and Crusader Nate have shared stories with us in the community, and
it's fine. I don't need to hear them. Move along.
Oh, this guy, I need to contact people and get show plans going.
No.
I have the means of contact. We can make it happen.
You already made the Knight Rider Hog Slayer thing happen, you bastard.
That wasn't me. That was Billy Von Baum. Blame him. All right, let's see here.
Waiting for the Rain Man one.
That one already came out.
Oh, it did come out already.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah,
it did.
That's true.
All right, let's see here. We'll jump over here to Odyssey. Here we got a handful. We got Big Mike's Raging Rectum Wrecking Purple-Headed Prostate Puncher.
Yeah.
That is a mouthful. That's what Barry said.
That's what she said.
He's got two in a row here. Says, still broke and unemployed. I wish I had the money to give you. Hey, no worries, man.
Nope.
Regarding laws pancaking on top of pancakes, what are your thoughts on all laws automatically sunset 20 years after the bill is signed into law?
That actually is a good idea, because some of there's so many laws on the books. Some of them are 100 years old, and come on, we need to be able to clear shit out because it's getting stupid.
That's how they make sure that everybody is breaking a law all the time.
Yeah, I know. Then that needs to stop.
Yep. And his second one here, Battle Hobbit and Dick Lixorcist.
Yeah.
Have you gentlemen seen Dick Lixorcist? Damn, that's bad.
I like that.
Wow.
Have you gentlemen seen or follow What Ifliths on Usgrube? Specifically, check out his latest video, What the Fuck is Wrong with the Economy?
Okay. I'll check it out.
Okay. Yeah. We'll shoot us the link. Shoot us the link on redonkulas12@gmail.
Yep. There you go.
All right.
And we got Mark D's channel here dropping a $20 bill. It says, "Hi, Papa friends. Thanks for the show."
Thank you.
Hell yeah. That's what we're here for. All right, we'll jump over here to MGTOW.tv. I'm sure the TAPS game is very strong within them. Of course, got to wait for this shit to load up for a second. Take some time.
All right.
Oh, come on, you bastard. All right, let's see here. We got Dark Mad Dog. He's got 2 in a row here. I will double check, make sure that the super chats come through there. But he says, Popp Battle Dwarf. Did you know Germany legalized, underage diddling, and a famous mustachioed man followers among the young exploded, and parents to protect their kids. Hope is on the horizon, Battle Dwarf.
That is actually true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shameful.
Yep. Battle Dwarf, can you talk about on Latin America love for fascists and the extreme hatred of communists? Some people don't get it, I'm not naming names. Other than that, how stupid were the Democrats to import Latinos without knowing our history of ethnic cleansing, slavery of darker races, and extreme racism?
Oh, God, that's a long, long story, and this is not the appropriate moment for it, but we can definitely delve into that. Maybe we will do a Pinochet's special air delivery service episode.
Pinochet.
Commies go up, but they don't come down.
Try
they do.
Crawl under table.
There you go. And his second one here says, legal Latinos are voting conservative on some block if they're not addicted to welfare and not single moms, nor a can't understand normal thinker. And once they are elected into power, the N-word gets out and Democrats are offended.
Yes.
And in other news, the new Mexican president can't understand normal thinker is part small hat, but also her dad was a filthy commie.
Oh, great.
She is a small hat, and her dad was a filthy commie. The Cubans that first came when Castro took power, the Cubans that fled Cuba and went to Miami, invariably and as a bloc vote as conservatively as they can and always have.
There you go.
Yep.
They're a bunch of criminals.
No, those Cubans are great.
Okay.
But the Batistas that came over that fled Castro, they ran away from Castro.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Those Cubans, those are great people.
All right. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the criminals.
No, not the Mariels.
Oh, okay.
The Batistas came first and then the Mariels. Anyway.
Yep. And also, if you guys happen to hear about how Venezuela, their crime stats are just completely plummeting into the ground, just look to the big cities and you'll find out why. Here in America. He finishes up his comment here with expect more illegals, and you guys don't know everything. Everyone hates Mexicans in Latin America, just like they hate everyone else. The schnoz made Mexico their base, but the locals will get them.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. And speaking of MGTOW TV, we got 32 over there watching. Nice. Let's see. No lemons over on DLive. We got 8 viewers over there. Let's see. Twitch is rocking. If it'll load. We got 13 over there. Mm-hmm. And nice crew. I did get it set up right this time.
Hey.
Did get it set up right this time. I fucked up and copied and pasted the wrong thing. There's only 1 viewer over there.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to get it set up, so I didn't announce it on Nice Crew.
No, yep. Technically, there's 2 viewers, but I'm one of them, so I've got that one open up.
Yeah, and
there.
Well, there
also,
you go.
Jimmy, on the side mission, you need to be able to get up to speed on streaming to Twitch or X or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
then-
I will. I'll put some feelers out there. I'll do some looking around, see how that all works out. I'll fiddle fuck around with it on my
I have
end.
the blue check on my personal Twitter account. We can stream to that.
Oh,
I too also have a blue check, even though I have less than 500 followers. But I did say if Alex Jones was reinstated, I would get the blue check mark. They reinstated Alex Jones. I'm a man of my word.
all
Yeah.
right.
If you're on Twitter, come find me. Follow my channel.
Okay.
There you go. All righty, we'll jump over here to the emails here. See if we got a couple of cash apps here. Let's
All right.
see. Tony, he threw in $10. No comment. Again, before if you guys do want to send in a cash app and have a message in there, before you hit send, there will be a prompt to put a note in there. So just to remind you guys to, if you guys want to write us a lovely little note or tell us that you hate us or whatever, but here's $10. Hey, $10 is $10.
There you go.
And speaking of $10, Heidi, she sent over $10. Says thank you and happy 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all righty. Looks like those are the only 2 cash apps tonight. Let me do one quick look through. Yep, that looks like it.
Rumble put one more out. Sarku for $2 says Clayton Bigsby for president. I do not know who Clayton Bigsby is.
I do not know.
Clayton,
Who's Clayton Bigsby?
Dave. It was a Dave Chappelle skit.
Okay.
Hilarious shit. You will laugh your balls off. Trust me. You will laugh your balls off. Clayton Bigsby. I approve of that. Maybe we get a Clayton Bigsby for press secretary. Popp and Blake for VP. And then we got Battle Dwarf for Secretary of Defense.
I'm voting Cthulhu 2024. Why choose the lesser evil?
I was going to say there was some hubbub about a meteor coming close to the Earth in 2024. I'm voting for that guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Cthulhu.
Let's see. We'll jump back through the chats here real quick, just so that we're not missing anybody else. We got Chris Raymond with $2. His first chat over on YouTube. Thank you and welcome, Chris. Hope you like the debauchery going on here. Hit that subscribe button. All that good shit.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Are we all caught up, Jimmy?
Let's see. Looks like nothing new over on Rumble. Odyssey. I did the pop-out chat thing. Nope, we are all clear on Odyssey. MGTOW, no other super chats there.
All right.
No lemons on DLive, and Twitch is all clear. Let me do one more quick look at the emails. We are clear.
All right.
We are ready for safety briefing.
All right, everybody, don't drink and drive. Don't drink and swim. It's not going to work out. It's the 4th of July. Do not hold fireworks in your hand because that's how you wind up with only one booger picker. All right. If you have to fight, don't go to the ground because that's your get stomped out. Run away first if you can. Rack up, pack up, and stack up. There's safety in numbers. Maintain your situational awareness because if somebody is going to attack you, something in your environment will be different. It's up to you to see it. Boom.
All righty. Battle Dwarf, any final parting words from you?
No. Have a very good 4th of July. Barbecue. Do something relaxing. Take a break from all the fucking insanity that's going on right now. Just go have a good weekend.
Yeah.
That's all. Carry on.
There you go. And I just want to put the reminder out there. The merch store is back up and running. Get yourself a Popp and Blake hat for president. Get you a shirt. And, get all kinds of things. Just scroll down. Redonkulas.com. Click on the swag tab there.
Well, the rework tab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Click on the swag tab. Look at all this stuff. Hell, look at that. You can get yourself an evil hairless monkey apron while you're barbecuing for the summer.
I don't know if you should say that with that picture there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it getting dark in here?
Yeah.
There you go. But my final parting thoughts. If you do happen to get a koozie and you happen to select it white, it looks like there's only white ones in there. Well, if you get your koozie dirty, make sure you wash your koozie in the sink. And don't worry about getting koozie juices on your dishes.
We got a last minute 50 from Sarku, who says, read from the Bill of Rights. We will at a later date. This is the wrap of the show, but thank you very, very much. Jimmy, hit him.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Thank you very much.
There you go. And as I said before, check out the merch store. Good shit there. And keep the koozie juices off your dishes. And the cootie juices on your face. Take it easy.
I can't do it!